The caveman sat in his cave. He was reflecting on how life was, how he used to be free, was able to do all he desired, how joyful the time before was. The caveman sighed as he saw through the gap in his cave the sunlight shining through as a new dawn arose. But whilst the others outside cheered and were happy, he knew what they had lost. When they were young and free, the caveman and his people had no restrictions, no laws. They could do as they pleased. They were free to roam where God had intended them. They knew right from wrong. But then one of the cavemen had decided that he needed order to this freedom, a way of telling each other what can and can't be done, to have it written down, to bound man like a slave to a life he could never escape. The other cavemen brought order and design to the world which once flourished on its own with no help from mankind. They decided which land was whose. They decided where each could live and how they could build their homes. They decided to have paper to write everything down, that everyone would sign for what they could and couldn't do, that to visit another cave person's bit of land they would need written permission. A lot of the other cavemen were happy with this new existence. They felt safer and secure with this order to their freedom. But the caveman in his cave looking out saw the restrictions, saw the limitations to this unnatural order, for he saw the way fighting started to happen, because one caveman had more land than another, how jealousy erupted as one caveman had more than another, and he reflected how days before they all equally shared everything. They had no fights or quarrels over land or homes, because they equally owned them, as God had told them. The caveman remembered the old tales his mothers told of how God had spoken to the caveman and told him that all his land was theirs, that they had inherited the whole flat land, that it was theirs equally, that no man or woman had more right than another, that every man and woman were the same in the eyes of their Maker, that they should go forth and multiply and eat of the land and take care of each other and those that were sick, that they should build together a great empire from each corners of the lands that stretched far, that their round eyes could not see. The caveman remembers how his mother's words, and looked out again, and those who had made changes to his people, how they now dressed different, had pieces of paper to tick and sign, how they ordered each other to different areas, like how he had seen his father order the cattle into their pens. He saw how those that made up the law felt themselves more superior, more powerful, and the others treated them with that respect, and bowed down to them and begged them for more land or a nicer house, and smiled when they were denied. And the cavemen remember of the time before when all were equal and no one was above another. He sighed as he saw the now powerful overlords, the lawmakers, the councillors, the government take to their big house and luxury. The cavemen saw how when order was put to freedom, how the equality that they were all born to was no longer in existence, that when each babe was born, whom they were born to would now make a difference to their lives, whether they were of the haves or have-nots, and how their whole entire life would now be different because of this order to freedom. The caveman remembered of the time before order, how each baby born was given exactly as the next one, how each was taught with the same love and care, and how each had everything they needed. And the caveman thought, what was wrong with this existence? Why was order needed? He remembered that originally each was told order was needed because some cavemen ate too many apples one day, or one hit another because they wanted the last orange. But these were minor issues. Now, since order had taken place, there was murder and crime. And caveman thought to himself as he prepared to sleep, whether maybe he was unfair to this order of freedom, that maybe it was those who had championed it, had brought fairness and equality to it, maybe it would have served them all, and would be something to celebrate. But he knew the problem was the others were happy and cheering already to this unfair and unequal order to freedom. As the caveman closed his eyes to the beginning of this civilization, he had a vision of times to come. He saw metal, concrete, and steel structures. He saw where this order to freedom would end. He saw children in foreign lands starving of food, where this flat land had food for all. He saw wars and fighting, the blood of men and women fighting for their overlords of land and ideas that they knew not. He saw lonely men and women crying into their hands. The caveman could take these visions no more. He felt sick and upset. He took to his knees and prayed to his mother's God to please take these visions, these times away, and he heard a distant voice in his mind that said, "All is free. Your path chosen is yours. From every step taken, you have no need to ask of me, for I have already given. You have free will to do as your heart desires. It is you alone that chooses to suffer or bring forth suffering in your designs. Choose your will. I have given you all you need to be free, to be joyful, to be happy, to have and know peace, to see beauty, to taste a full stomach, to know love between one and another. All I have given. You have the pieces to build as you choose." The caveman wept a small tear before he lay down to sleep.